One of the best ways to improvise hipper solos is by using invisible 2-5-1s. Now, you're probably wondering, what on earth is an invisible 2-5-1? Well, before we get into it, we should start by defining what a regular 2-5-1 is. So let's have some fun and go through this explanation memento style by working backwards from the 1 chord. Alright, the 1 chord is the tonic, or as I like to call it, the destination chord. It's our target, it's where we want to end up. The 5 chord is the dominant chord. It has a whole lot of tension, which is eventually released when it resolves to the 1 chord. Now that dominant is a chord that moves. It wants to go somewhere, as opposed to our 1 chord, which again is much more of a destination. It's stable and resolved. A quick side note, the tension within the 5 chord comes from its third. So if we're in the key of C, where C major is the 1 chord, that means that G major is the 5 chord, and the third of G major is B. Now, check this out. Here's a C major scale. Hear how that B wants to resolve up to C? That's the tension I'm talking about here. That B, that 7th scale degree, is literally referred to as the leading tone because it leads you back to a much more stable destination. By the way, if we make that G a G7 chord, we add an F into the mix, which also creates a heck of a lot of tension that's just begging to resolve down to E. So yeah, that 5, that dominant, is a chord that wants to move. Anyway, let's talk about the 2 chord now. In the context of a 2-5-1, the official name of the 2 chord is the predominant chord because it prepares the subsequent dominant chord. If we use a volleyball analogy, the 2 chord is the bump, the 5 chord is the set, and the 1 chord is the spike. Or if you like the travel analogy, we can make this super simple by boiling down the 2-5-1 to just 2 parts. The 2-5 is the journey, and the 1 chord is the destination. Now, what about invisible 2-5-1s? Take a look at this 12-bar blues progression. See the 2-5-1 in the turnaround? That one is obviously not invisible, but look closer here and here. These chords are 2-5-1s that you can imply in your solos to create more harmonic depth. Listen to the difference between the following 2 examples. First up, we have a solo on bars 1 through 5 of the blues without implying any additional 2-5-1s. Now check out this version where we imply a G minor 7 and C7, which resolves to the F7 in measure 5. Note that even though this blues is in the key of C, we temporarily think of that F7 as a 1 chord because it's our target. Thus, the invisible 2 and 5 end up being in the key of F. The technical term for this maneuver is tonicization because we are recasting that F as a destination or tonic, which we are traveling to via a 2-5-1 cadence. We can also get even fancier by using tritone substitution on the 2 and 5, which gives us D flat minor 7 and G flat 7 resolving to F7. Check it out. How about another example? Here's a solo on bars 5 through 9 without any invisible 2-5-1s. Let's soup this up by tonicizing the 2 chord, which is D minor 7. Quick note, typically in a 2-5 going to a destination chord that is minor, the quality of the 2 chord is half diminished, which is why I'm implying E minor 7 flat 5, or E half diminished, in this example. The reason being that when you construct a 2 chord from a minor scale, you get a flat 5. Make sense? Here's how it sounds. Not only do we now have so much more harmonic color, but with the additional chords in mind, it's easier to play longer lines that don't dry out. Truth is, it can be challenging to improvise over one chord over an extended period of time. Implying invisible harmony is like having conversation topics ready to go in your back pocket when engaging in small talk with a stranger. After all, you can only talk about the weather for so long, and it can feel just as awkward to solo on F7 without a break. Alright, enough with the analogies. The big takeaway here is that if you want to make your solo sound way more exciting and hip, especially on simple chord progressions like blues, funk, and pop tunes, inserting invisible 2-5-1s is the way to go. And by the way, just about any chord can function as a destination chord, so set them up by implying those 2-5s, those journey chords, in your next improvised solo. Lastly, to really nail these invisible 2-5-1s, you need a strong soloing vocabulary that sounds great and makes sense with your musical style and skill level. So as a special thank you to everyone who's still watching, I'd like to give you 36 ridiculously hip 2-5-1 licks for free. They're from my Sick Licks series, which is a collection of my all-time favorite 2-5-1 licks organized by style, chord progression, and skill level. Just click the link on the screen or in the video description to get the sheet music and audio recordings for each lick and start dropping them in your solos so you can start nailing those invisible 2-5-1s right away. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and happy shedding.